Voices drift on winds untamed, words like spells that can't be named. Close your eyes and feel the sound. Journey where no bounds are found. Open doors inside your mind. Leave the ordinary far behind. Colors swirl and stars align. In the meta mysteries you'll find.
Welcome to Meta Mysteries, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And today we have a very special guest. If you listened to the last episode, I believe toward the end of the episode, we were talking about the upcoming show that we were going to be doing with this gentleman right here, talking about Iboga. And so welcome to the show, Jonathan.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Great, dude. Very excited. Very excited to meet another Jonathan who is also on this path, sir. So it's just...
I'm sure they're all great, you know.
This path is so full of synchronicities. I've noticed. Like every podcast I've had, I've been seeing like like I'll see like that's odd. Like either, you know, whether it be a deck of cards or, you know, the same name. I had someone say my roommate's name who doesn't even go on podcasts. No one knows that I have a roommate. And someone dropped his name because his name is Dusty Rhodes, and they were talking about a dusty road. They like went down the dusty road, and I'm like, literally, Dusty Rhodes is in the other room. You know,
Dusty like the old wrestler Dusty Rhodes.
No, I wish. I don't think that guy's with us. The old wrestler, that is.
Well, Dustin Rhodes, his son is still around though.
Do what?
His name is Dustin Rhodes. That's Gold Dust for all the wrestling dorks out there like me.
Oh.
Ah. Yeah, no, not that guy. That guy.
The fucking the androgynous, weird clown-looking guy.
That would be like too odd. You know, if I had a wrestler in the other room, they'd be in the room like with me. I'd bring them on every week. Like it'd just be like me and the wrestler doing a podcast.
Right. So yeah, let's get to it. I want to learn, first off, how did you come across Iboga? Was it something that you were looking into? Is it maybe somebody brought it up to you, or is it something that like you've kind of been interested in as far as, cause a lot of people use it to like get clean and stuff like that. Right.
Yeah. Yes. So I honestly have to say I just fell into everything medicine-wise, because before Iboga, I just fell into Native American church and I was a rainbow kid and I was hitchhiking and I got to stay at a lady with the Native American church. They were preparing for Sundance. I got to go to the Sundance, like 16 or 17, you know? Just on the road trying to figure out life. And then I found myself in the sweat lodge. And so that was a really big part of my life. The Lakota family was, man, they're amazing. They kind of like took me in as one of their family. I got set in private ceremonies. And then the matriarch, the grandmother of that family is like, the people in Ecuador in the South, and this woman's been traveling all around the world. She did like 40 years in psychology. She was raised in Native ways. She did 40 years, got a master's degree in psychology, did 40 years of like service work. And also she worked with street kids and drug kids. And then once she retired, she is now just traveling to native communities all over the world, wherever there are like native medicine communities. She's been traveling and teaching the ways of the Lakota and so they consider her like the modern day white buffalo woman. And, I hung out with her kids or grandkids, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like the family took me in. So I worked a lot with her. Grandma Shirley is her name. Grandma Shirley. I want to get her on a podcast. She's just a riot. She'll just talk.
Shout out Grandma Shirley.
Yeah. Do what?
I said, shout out Grandma Shirley.
Shout out. Yeah. But she's a character. She's an absolute character. And so I kind of I broadcast everything. I've been a streamer for years. I don't really want to get into my whole evolution, but I've been, streaming for 12 years, I think. And from role playing games to, all different types, pop culture shows, and some light politics here and there. And anyway,
politics.
She kind of just took me in, started kind of teaching me the ways that we did psychodramas. I started doing psychodrama with her, which she turned into a pipe ceremony, a chanupa ceremony. So we would do this group therapy that was intense, and it would take 3 days, and it would just be a ceremony. But the medicine was raw emotion. I mean, I would be numb by the time I left, because I hit my nerves and my trauma so deep. It's every childhood trauma I could have ever had was had just been poked and rubbed, getting a massage, and then how it's kind of numb and everything's kind of moving out. That's how my emotions felt. The processing of emotions I could feel on a physical level. It was such an intense, and I kept saying, I was they put drugs, there were drugs in the biscuits, those weren't normal cookies, something. And they're no, you've been sober for 4 days. You haven't done any drugs. These are called emotions that you're feeling. You're supposed to feel emotions. People actually feel emotions. At that time, I was an addict. So it was I was escaping the emotion, and I had, nothing to face it. And so I did a bunch of those ceremonies and actually kind of learned that process. And I got to sit around because her 2 grandchildren, one of her grandsons is the chief now of the Little Brave tribe. So I got to sit in the ceremonies that they were teaching him. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching grandmother, mother, father teaching a chief how to be a chief.
That's it.
And that was all God. That had nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? I found a Native American church, just happened to go there, kind of got introduced to the idea, got introduced from a friend to the Little Braves, went to the Little Braves, spent a lot of time at the ceremonies, did ceremony once a month. They call them meetings. We'd have meetings once a month. And that led to a completely other random circumstance, has nothing to do with me. One of my childhood friends, one of my good childhood friends, was very successful, had a very successful career. Anyway, I don't know if I want to get into his story too much, but someone I knew ended up buying an Iboga clinic because he didn't want to go back to his 9 to 5. He just thought it would, and he took over something that was barely holding together and turned it into something that is sustainable. And he learned a lot. He had his evolution, and we were good friends as children. So he messaged me when he got that, but I was doing really good. I had a podcast going. I was dating. It was not the time in my life that I was, because in my mind, when he contacted me, I was I can't run away and do hippie shit. Not right now. I got, you know what I'm saying? But that was a period of time where I was I would be sober and then I would relapse. I would go a month and then relapse, and then 6 weeks and then relapse, So I thought I was doing good, but I was actually just not okay at all.
Are you okay to say what you were addicted to, or do you not want to say that?
No, I'm open about it. So when I look back at it, especially because the growth that I've done now, I was really addicted to not feeling my feelings. So I was a poly substance user or whatever, but I took in cocaine because I had the Ritalin when I was a kid. I was the Ritalin, the Adderall, the cocaine train. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it was,
Yeah,
and
they get you young.
I did meth for a couple times and I really liked it. But the guy who gave me the meth was a very powerful kingpin, and he's like, "You're a good dude, and if I'm responsible for destroying your life," he's like looking at those people in my living room. He's like, they're not going to do anything with their lives. Like, that's what they do. That's what they're going to do. They're like drug addicts and prostitutes. That's all they know. And you're not that. And if I'm the one who turns you into that, like, I'll never forgive yourself. So since I know all the people who sell this specific drug, you're like cut off from the whole city, not because you're a dick, but because like, I want better. Like he's like, I expect
There was
better
potential there.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
on him.
it's all about potential. He's like, I'm not destroying this kid's life, and we're friends today, and he's sober. And so
Awesome. So yeah, you were just basically trying to drown out the emotions, not necessarily deal with life or anything internally or anything like that. And so
I was afraid of the work.
So then your buddy gets the Iboga clinic, which is an awesome, just. Was it like a side hustle or what?
Him, like he just fell into it. I just fell into it. I think that they talk about the ways, the medicine has ways, and I think that's one of the ways of the medicine, like the synchronicity, the things that just happen. Like I had to destroy the illusion that I was supposed to be working in a factory during the day and doing a podcast at night when I'm dead fucking tired, and that was the way that I was going to have to live the rest of my life, because like I was given a calling, but I honestly, I had to go through like some cognitive dissonance. Like it was really rough for me to finally, because this is my music. I call myself Babylon Refugee. That's what I published my music under, and it's because I just didn't fit in and I couldn't be a part of this society. Like I had to leave that society because it didn't resonate. Taxes are bullshit. Child support was bullshit. Everything was just like I would work to have everything go, and I would get what was left. And like, I was always the one getting the short end of the stick, but it was all getting taken out before I even got there. And I would work hard to live in an expensive city, with an expensive apartment, God forbid an expensive girlfriend I couldn't afford.
I know.
Like, it just wasn't the experience, but everyone in my life told me that's what you have to do. I can't tell you how many family fights and things, because they wanted me to be normal. Like, God damn it, Jonathan, just be normal,
Bro, I swear you are just peeking into my life right now by saying, even by saying, God damn it, Jonathan, can you just be normal? It's like, I heard that so many times. And so, yeah, I feel you on that, bro.
See, I have it worse because my passion is like, I wanted to make movies and now I make comic books, because it's cheaper. I thought it was cheaper. Now with cell phones, I think it's actually cheaper to make movies. I think that it's like reversed. Like I got into making comics because it was like, I thought it was cheaper than having a big budget and special effects, but now AI exists,
Yeah.
But, and that, I had to realize at one point I had to stop telling people like what I do at night. It was like I would go at night. I went to school for, media and programming and, multimedia, and studied a lot of coding. I grew up, I had to code before I was 11. My dad wouldn't buy me the original Nintendo Entertainment System unless he handed me a C++ book, said, program me a video game that I can play all the way through and you can get a Nintendo Entertainment Center system. And it was like putting together a puzzle, this C++ book. I'm like going through, like figuring it out, like writing down and fucking
I did a code.
Yeah. Wow. As a child, and I did the same with my daughter though. I made, and she's now building websites for fun, and we grew up. I'm from Dallas, and Frisco. Frisco is actually pretty popular, right? Not popular in the news right now with that Austin Metcalf stabbing, that whole thing that was going on.
Yeah.
Like that's like my hometown, dude. Like
wow.
I hate that the media is there. They were having like protests, and I'm like, why is this happening in my hometown? Like because I know the streets. I'm like, fuck. That's like where we used to play and shit.
Right. Yeah, it's unfortunate when your hometown becomes known for something like that. But So all right, let's hear about it though. I mean, so your buddy ends up having the clinic, and then he invites you, but you were doing really well, and so you decided not to, and then what? You kind of fell off the wagon and decided to go.
COVID.
Oh, okay.
COVID-19, man. Essential worker. I was working through it. I was off my rocker because I was in like a fucking crack hotel. like I was at a place that I was like moving from a transitional home, let's say, that I got stuck in for 2 years with like I had so many guns in that apartment. Like I've just gotten to the place where all the prostitutes and drug dealers were. I was going there. I was going to try to move into an apartment. COVID happened. I got stuck there. I still did really good while I lived there. It was just kind of like a paranoia thing going on. And then I basically lost that job because it was like they could pay people less because it was like reopening. I was like an essential worker that got laid off after everyone went back to work. You know what I'm saying? And there was no money available. It's like everyone, it was like, we love you, our essential workers. And they're like at their little like superheroes in hallways, like saluting nurses and shit. And as soon as the pandemic was over, like I faced losing everything. I got a job at a restaurant and realized I can't survive on that. And depression. I tried a roommate situation. And as soon as I got into it, I got out and I just was popping around life. Like I moved everything out of that hotel. I sold everything. This was like my third or fourth physical renunciation of everything I own, which I thought it would be spiritually clearing, but it was more like now I'm like paranoid where the stuff I have now is. Like I'm like I have to know where everything is because I keep losing things. So anyway, and I was depressed, and honestly, I had kicked. I was basically using cocaine and alcohol, but I can guarantee you that cocaine had fentanyl on it because I was having like really bad withdrawals from just regular old cocaine, which cocaine back in the day didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And one of the big things with fentanyl is constipation. And the entire time I was doing cocaine, I was constipated. And I was like, so I'm pretty sure I was just getting fentanyl cocaine. And I kind of knew it. I was like, this ain't right. And I kept doing it. And then at one point I just have to admit and accept to myself that when I'm suspecting that this doesn't feel right, that it's not freaking right. Mm. And I've got to fucking stop. Time
to make a change, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I kicked like by myself cold turkey in this like hotel. This is before I got laid off. And it's like, I just felt like I was doing all the work and everything just kept falling apart. And because it fell apart and because I was already dealing with the depression, it was really like the depression and suicidal feelings basically that brought me to Iboga. And I was like, because when I first heard about Iboga, I was like, I never want to be so fucked up that I have to do Iboga. I'm just not going to do opiates, that'll be good enough, And I've always been like more into hallucinogens and weed in the first place. And so I just hit rock bottom, but I was sober and had been working my butt off. And you know what I'm saying? Like I had tried and I just wanted to give up, and I'm like, it's not worth it. I got rid of everything that meant anything to me. Just like, fuck everything. And called my buddy and went out. And I didn't do the Ibogaine. I did the Iboga, and I did the Bawidi eating the bark. Mm-hmm. I think like 34 grams. 34 grams in like 3 days, something like that, just stacking it. Like the actual trip was like a 7-day thing. Ibogaine's not that. Ibogaine's like 30 hours,
Oh my God, 30 hours. Do you do you sleep during that 30 hours? I imagine like you fall asleep, wake back up, you're like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, what is that like?
So first off, they reclassified it recently from hallucinogen to psychoactive. And I think that that's a really good thing because when I think hallucinogen, I think of like walls breathing and like when you're on mushrooms and there's like whatever those bubble things that come up in your consciousness of colors. I don't even know how to describe them, but they look like lava lamps and shit, going on in my mind. That's not Ibogaine. Ibogaine is more of a mindset. It's basically makes the long-term memory the recall better than the short-term memory. So you'll walk into a room, you'll forget why you walked in the room, but you'll remember exactly what your grandma's pie smelled like 30 years ago. And you could smell like your grandfather's cologne.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Whoa.
So it's not so much at all you don't see anything like when you close your eyes or anything like that, or is it just emotion and
you see
memory
stuff,
recall?
but it's not comparable to peyote, not comparable to mushrooms. LSD is a mindset. It's definitely not comparable, but I think of most it'd probably be because LSD is definitely a mindset. Like there's a consciousness that, because I just feel like mushrooms, they're just there to shake off the dust, and like shock your consciousness sometime. It's like
like a maintenance, right? Yeah.
And it's like an ice bath for the serotonin system. Like just like jump in there and like give it some juice. Ibogaine's much deeper with that. The neuroplasticity is a lot stronger. It goes deeper. It literally rebuilds the neural pathways, helps the serotonin to get to the pleasure center, heals the pleasure center. That's why it works on addiction, because addiction fucks up the pleasure center. Anyone who's quit drugs, they don't feel normal anymore. Like that was my whole issue, is I didn't feel normal. Like I didn't feel normal so much, I just didn't want to exist. And I had just, I jokingly called myself an LSD burnout in like through my 20s. You know what I'm saying? When it was like that's not even a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So you real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You said that it does it like reset your baseline for pleasure and all that? Is that what it's doing for you?
It's a dopamine refresh, and it resets the dopamine system, refreshes it, but it also helps to heal the neural pathways so that they can more effectively deliver serotonin. So it's basically like what steroids are for muscles, it is for the serotonin system and like the nervous system. That's why it treats neurological disorders.
Right.
Like Parkinson's. Now, I do have to say that the Parkinson's, and there's another research that was done recently. They were done by private studies hosted by Ibogaine clinics. Like I went to like look into it because I was like, this is great, but I don't put it on Iboga Talk because it's not, I'm sorry, it's got to be an objective study for me to call it science, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But people are using it for Parkinson's and saying they see. I had a Parkinson's TBI guy here. I was over there a month ago, I think. I haven't been there in a while. And he was here and he was having improvement with his Parkinson's. So,
oh, wow.
But yeah, traumatic brain injury, it's huge for. And that's actually what's really cool because it repairs neural pathways. And neural pathways are like roots. So say you have like a damage, and a part of that root is like dead, can't do anything. The Ibogaine helps the neural pathways to grow around the damage. So it's not going to cure TBI. There is no traumatic brain injury cure. But it helps grow the neural pathways around that damage and it helps kind of breathe new life into people. So I know TBI patients tend to be like, they do it. When you do Ibogaine, they'll teach you how to take Ibogaine because it's different for everyone based on physiology and your blood work and just your reaction to it in general. Like they do a test dose, they do blood work. There's an algorithm that goes into finding this person could take this much this fast. And it's different for everyone. So when they do this through the flood, they can then tell you how to do it safely on your own. But TBI people tend to treat, They treat and then do boosters now and then come back a year or two and treat, because for them it's like it improves it, but the things like the swelling, it helps neural swelling to go down if your brain's swollen. So that's why it helps with Lyme disease. Lyme disease makes your brain grow. This makes your brain stop swelling. TBI has swelling. So they get like immense relief because of the swelling going down. It's like taking an antibiotic for your brain. Antibiotic.
It's just amazing to me that these things that seem to really have benefit, seem to be illegal. You know what I mean? It's just like, why is that?
I think it's intentional.
Oh, it's
absolutely intentional. They don't want us to heal. And I actually talked about this on another podcast with someone this week. And the psychedelic science revolution, as it's getting legalized, which I mark my words, like it's going to happen, because it's going to have to happen to fight the fentanyl epidemic, unless we just are heartless and don't care. Like we have to give them a fuck at some point, right?
Yeah. Oh, not only just that though, too. I mean, think about how many people are dealing with just insane levels of anxiety and depression. Just that alone is like, it's like a mass cancer on the entire country. I mean, let alone the rest of the world. Yeah. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that are dealing with that kind of shit. And it's because it's almost like they lost their connection to God, to source, to the universe. They almost like they don't remember, like maybe they just never found out or never knew their purpose. You know what I mean? Because this society that we live in this country, it promotes like consumerism. And that's all it is just consume. And before you know it,
avoid.
And yeah, right. And before you know it, you have everything that you ever wanted and you're still fucking sad. You know what I mean? Dude. And so, and that's the whole idea, is that, they've always said, well, whenever you complete high school, then you go to college. And once you complete college, then you get your job. And once you get your job, you'll be happy. And then once you get your job and you're happy, then you can find a wife and you can have some kids. And then happy, lucky, joy, or whatever the fucking saying is. Yeah. It's like, no, it's not necessarily that simple. It's not that, that's almost archaic to even think that way nowadays, because people, they follow the rules, and whenever they followed the rules all the way into their 30s and 40s and they are still very unfulfilled, they wonder why. What's wrong with me? Why do I feel this way? I have everything that I ever wanted. What's and then it becomes almost like you feel selfish, because I mean, there's the whole thing. I mean, I'm not trying to go too much into it. I'm just saying from my own perspective, I've felt that unfulfillment. But the thing is, what really turned it around for me was just really just going around and like trying to figure out what was the right way to live. Like, what is the right way? And I don't think most people have a fucking clue, to be honest with you. You follow tradition, or you follow religion, or you follow what your parents did or your grandparents did. And, I don't know if it's that easy anymore. You got to find out what your purpose is. And to be honest, dude, for me, it was, I mean, this is why we talk about it all the time, is just, all the different modalities of spirituality, and just understanding all the different perspectives, and then really breaking through the fucking fourth wall of the fourth dimension, with psychedelics and whatnot, and meditation and everything else. But yeah, I think that it's going to need like, just a shot in the ass of just like, wake the fuck up, if, and maybe Iboga's your thing,
Yeah, and you talk about, the people that are suffering from depression, and like Jonathan was saying, as far as your pleasure center is so out of whack, you wouldn't know if you experience something that should make you feel good or not in the first place. We got commercials that are promoting alcohol. I'm pretty sure they still do that. I don't watch much TV, but I'm sure there's still alcohol commercials. Absolutely. And I was actually asking Chat GPT. I was like, how many people are dying in the US from alcohol? And it says in 2020, 178,000 people died due to alcohol.
Wow.
And it's like, but there's still commercials for it, but then there's this medicine that could potentially help somebody figure out what feels good again, and maybe even potentially have some sort of spiritual awakening, or even just experience love or what have you. And it's like, no.
Oh, dude, you think about
illegal,
just illegal. But you think about just even alcohol in general, like it's literally fucking poison. Like it's promotion of poison. And even if you go all the way back to like what the ancients used to call it, you know, it was a spirit, and that spirit's name was alcohol, right? And it was just essentially like a possession. And that's why whenever you talk to people who are just drunk off their ass, it's like, I'm not even talking to you anymore. I'm talking to something else. You know,
right?
I think alcohol is a portal. I honestly believe that alcohol is a portal. I don't know who told me this. Someone told me when I was young, but I was raised in the South, you know, Southern Baptist. Someone's like, demons hang out at them bars, you know, and you know, they might be being facetious, but it's like, as I've become more like awakened and aware of spirits and things, I can feel it. Like, I went with friends to a bar. I didn't drink, but for the New Year's Eve, you know, we wanted to go be where the people were for New Year's Eve. And I didn't want to talk to no one. So like the energy in the room was off. Like my empathy alarms were like going off. I was like, I just sat quiet, you know, and realized I like small company and I like sitting in ceremony and I like, you know what I'm saying?
Something on a deeper level, right?
I found the right way through for me, and I think it's different for everyone, is the most important thing. But sitting with the Lakota, that organization to that ceremony, because one of the things is that the ceremony is life and life is the ceremony. Like, this is even in the cult, like the altar is a representation of your world in a smaller space, you know. Same thing with the ceremony. You've got all the elements present, just like in an occult ceremony. You've got the earth, which is the sand. You've got the fire, which is the coal. They literally pour water onto the altar. And then they burn the cedar, and the smoke is the wind, you know? And it's like, so you've got all the elements being put together in this alchemy of the ceremony, with the medicine being eaten and the songs being sang, and it awakens the spirits. Like, I didn't understand spirits till Native American church, and that just getting involved in those types, they have certain things they do for the spirits. Spirits are a part of the ceremony. We're aware that at one point the doorman will come and sweep the spirits out of the room because they get too rowdy. It's like, you know, it's like 3, 4 in the morning. This guy's sweeping, but he's not sweeping the dirt. And I'm just like, what the hell is he doing?
He's like, it's time to go. You know, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get out of here, you know?
The energy had to be cleaned out of the room. Too many people were getting well, throwing up, and it was like, it was the energy he was moving, because it was just the movement that mattered, you know.
Oh my God!
And those ways for me gave me a structure and a foundation, you know, that I could
think that
explore.
Is, I'm sorry. What do you think that is, though? Like, actually, you know, like whenever somebody is literally sweeping the spirits or the energy out of the room, like, what do you, like, on some real shit, what do you think that actually is? Because I believe it's something.
I believe in chi and stuff. I think that there is energy. I mean, if you have enough psychedelic experience, we call it Iboga psychic therapy, because it really is. Like, it hits your brain, and you like plug into the hard drive of your brain and get to work shit out back there that you've been like fumbling around with. So my first Iboga experience was super hard. It was it wasn't easy with me. And it was difficult to go through, and I had to deal with a lot of stuff, and I had to drag all the skeletons out of my closet, and I had to deal with them one by one. And I cried, and then I laughed, and then I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm such a dumbass. Like,
it's like it was a life review. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. But the healing was on such a deep level, because it's like, you know, the monkeys on your back, you know, the weight in your stomach and in your chest, that anxiety that's like eating at you, it just goes away because you dealt with it. Like, it's just a bunch of bullshit that you've now dealt with, you know. And I think really, this energy is, I think that, I don't know. I think the spirits are real, man. I think the more that I've gotten into this, I've been reading a lot of the Book of Enoch and Genesis, and I think this stuff is way more literal than people freaking give it credit to. I mean, the burning bush was an acacia bush, which is a DMT containing plant. Right. You know, like this is like not even allegory. Like it's just like in your face. Have you heard about and I think I'm going to say this is conspiracy. I don't think there's any way we could ever prove this is real, but that Jesus was using marijuana oil to heal leprosy. Have you heard this?
Yeah, I've heard. See, this is heresy to my other co-host on my other podcast. I can't bring this kind of shit up because God forbid anybody in your religion used any kind of psychedelic, mind-altering things. It's all... Anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But I've just been dealing with this shit for so long, dude. It's pent up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we've looked into what was the name? Ergot, that were found in a lot of the ancient chalices, which are basically like, it was like some kind of ancient psychedelic, right? And the same thing with like I don't know what it was called, but like the thing that they would swing back and forth and the smoke would come out, and they said that it was actually probably marijuana smoke, and it was just getting everybody stoned while they were in church. I think that's probably like, I don't think that takes away from God, or I don't think that takes away from Jesus. I think that it's like, it's altering your perception so that you can get it. You know what I mean?
Cognitive dissonance is real and it exists. But here's the thing is everything. I don't even know what's real anymore because everything I've been told was a lie. And then I find out other things, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, I went through this in my 20s when I got out of like college. Luckily I was doing tech, but I was really into literature. I'm a big reader. And I get out of college and it was just, college is just about telling you how to think and doing school and whatnot. It's just about telling you how to do something. And I learned
and
more
what to remember, right?
Yeah.
Remember this and remember that when someone asks, you know what I mean? Not how to think or how to come to that conclusion on your own.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's really just how it is. It's all just brainwashing at a certain point. And to be honest, I think
to break the matrix at some point. You just have to, because it literally exists to take your money, to take your sanity, to steal your joy, to steal your children, to steal, you know what I'm saying? Like anything and everything, it's Babylon, man. Like, and I've seen that. And I had a whole ayahuasca ceremony that just showed me, like, I just went through Revelation. I just went through the book of Revelation. I saw the beast trampling the saints. This was a very, very powerful ayahuasca. I went through a whole past life regression, which was fucked up because I realized, like, once I started dealing with my own trauma, I started realizing like other things fucked up that I had to heal. But once I started healing my own trauma, I've got like past life trauma and like generational trauma. And like, it's like that Billy Mays, but wait, there's more.
There's more.
So dealing with trauma is always digging through this shit. It really is. And it really, the more I'm on the path of recovery and the red road, the more I discover is you're never not digging in the shit. Like maybe it's about digging through the shit because there's always more shit. I went from, addictions. I was changing addictions. I got off the addictions. I got onto food. Had I not even dealt with the addiction, I wouldn't have even learned that I had an eating disorder. And, and I still would consider myself right now in like an eating disorder recovery because I would emotion eat. I would feel things and I would eat as a response. And so every time I want to eat for a feeling like I had, it's like an urge. It's like I feel like shit. Like ding dong.
I want to feel better. Yeah. I feel you, brother. I feel you on that one.
And it sucks. I've been fasting. I've switched now to 6 weeks fast, but I was doing a 1 month fast, doing 3 days every month. And I've been praying a lot through those. Like I'm just literally just like, let's get back to basics. Like I'm not going to eat food. Break out the Bible, get the yoga mat down. Like,
hey man, whatever you got to do, what you got to do to center yourself, and everybody's different. Yeah. I mean, some people it's meditation, some people it's prayer, some people it's looking, turning the pages in the Bible or whatever your religious book may be. It's like, what you got to do to bring you back to center.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
But
dude.
yeah,
So you were talking about, all right, I didn't know you went on this whole ayahuasca journey as well. So you're really just blowing it wide the fuck open. So how was that? Because to be honest, I'm a little scared to try ayahuasca. I'm not ready to trip my balls off for however it was, like 6 hours or something crazy.
well, here's the thing: is it's gonna be what you need it to be. It's not gonna be what you want it to be.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the fear. And I'll be honest, so I had the ayahuasca fear, right? So like I had a really strong ayahuasca and I kind of flipped my shit, but I came to find out they like put mushrooms in the ayahuasca. This is why I don't eat drugs with hippies. I refuse. I don't do drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll go into a TP, I'll go into Temescal, like I'll sit in a ceremony, like I want a medicine person there. I want to be singing prayer songs because I always get in trouble eating things that hippies give me. It's never what they tell you. You know,
It'd be like
but I
that.
had a really bad experience, and it was because it was ayahuasca with mushrooms in it. And it also had extra AOIs like cacao and stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I come from a chemistry angle. I'm like this is horrible.
Doing too much. Doing too
You're
much.
doing too much. Exactly. Like, do one thing.
Right.
You know, and it was someone who showed up. It was like, let's add this to it, and didn't tell anyone. You know, so everyone's freaking out. It was rough.
Oh my God.
It was rough. Anyway, so I had the fear. It was, it was a well-earned fear, even though I knew that wasn't the experience that I went into. But that specific ayahuasca, I went really hard because I was dealing with stomach issues, and I was just like, I needed relief. Like I needed to throw everything up. I was like, if this is how I got to do this, like rack them up, you know.
Mm.
But the last one, I didn't want to go deep because. I had that fear. I was like afraid of going too deep for some reason. I don't know. I went really light, like 3 of them in a row, and the facilitator talked to me, and she's like, "You've got something that you're afraid to let go," and she was absolutely right. There's that thing, and you're not dealing with it, and you need to, and I'm like. I told her, I don't want to do it around clients. Like, I was like, can we do this like one-on-one sometime? And she's like, no, you heal with the community. Like, that's how we heal. And she's like, come this week, go fucking deep. She's like, go deep. And I think I did 12 and it was like the double shot size, like of ayahuasca. I just kept going. And with peyote, like there's eating peyote, and then there's like holding peyote like in your stomach. 2 different things. Same with ayahuasca. There's eating ayahuasca, and I do recommend you sometimes just got to get that shit out, especially the first time. But like 3 or 4 times, like come on, everything's out. Like you're just throwing up ayahuasca at that point. Like keep the ayahuasca. And even that gag control is just like a next level mind hack. But keeping the medicine in is a completely different experience than just like dipping your foot in, especially with peyote. Peyote has levels, but you only get to the higher levels if you like get through the first ones. So you have to like keep it in and keep it down for like a while for it to actually process for it, and it'll start stacking, and it gets deep. It gets deep, and I ate peyote for 3 years and didn't hold it down and didn't even realize I was like doing the medicine ways I was in it, but I hadn't gotten it yet. It was when a young chief from another tribe who was friends with these kids because all the kids knew each other, and he married one of their daughters, and I told him I want to keep the medicine. I eat it, I throw up. I eat it, I throw up. And I don't understand. I see that y'all eat like a lot and just keep eating it and like nothing happens. And I don't understand what's the difference in what you're doing and what I'm doing. And he looked at me, and this kid was like 15 years old. Like he's cool as shit, but he was kind of a punk too, he's a normal 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And it was cool. But it was like, anyway, he looked at me and he said, pray with it and ask it to stay with you. And he's like, talk to the medicine. Say, I want you to stay with me. I want you to show me what you have to show me. I want you to teach me. And I want to accept what you have. And darn it, I went in there. And that's what I did. I want you to stay with me. I want you to teach me. And for the first time, I didn't throw up. And I got to level 2. I think I've gotten to level 4. I don't know what's beyond level 4, but I definitely made it to at least level 4, I think.
What do you mean by these levels now? I don't know about this.
I don't know. It's like, I mean, there's, because it's like level 1 is like you're kind of seeing things in your vision. Like level 2 is you're kind of like losing the things in the room. The visions are getting. Level 3 is definitely like vision. You do not see the room. You're seeing the shit.
You're immersed. Right.
Yeah, and then I think, I'm making this up as I go along. This is just, but I think level 4 is this like the level above, like you can't see shit, but these, because this last one I just saw, everything turned into psychedelic hieroglyphics, and I couldn't see anything in front of my eyes, just like psychedelic hieroglyphics, and it was like symbols and shit. I'm like, this is level 4, I guess.
So, peyote,
because I've never been to this place. It was a new place. It was a new experience, right. And with the medicine I was very familiar with. And then doing that 11, I was focusing on keeping them down and not getting rid of them. And that experience was actually different because it didn't hit me hard until late. Like really late. Like for some reason I was like, everyone else was like falling asleep and it still hadn't hit me. And it was right before she was going to call off medicine. And I'm just like, I'm going to take 3 more real quick. And I went and sat back down. I'd thrown up. I'd gone through the things. And I was like, I guess I'm just not getting the medicine. I've had that happen before. Eat medicine, nothing happens. Like it wasn't your time. But, oh no, it hit me right when it was just like wrapping up and I just started, and it was just I tried on that journey not to put my imagination into it too much because I feel like I do that a lot. Because when I was younger, it had to be some big magical experience. And sometimes it can just be healing. And sometimes it can just be like a realization. Like, it doesn't have to be like, I had the vision for the people, like Dune shit, you know?
Yeah. Like the mantis came and probed me. It was amazing,
Yeah. Like sometimes it can just be like, that was a real douchebag thing that I did back then. Or maybe that's why she left me, or some shit like that, you know?
Just out of curiosity, though, how long does a peyote trip last?
Depends how much you keep down is the honest to God answer. I think if you eat it and throw it up, you're talking like about 3 to 4 hours, but you keep eating it through the night. But if you keep eating it and throwing up and then eating it and throwing up, you're just getting like this base level peyote experience for, and then like pretty much right after the ceremony, it's like wearing off. Whereas if you eat it and hold it down, definitely felt it the next day. Like strong through the whole next day, because peyote ceremonies start at sundown and end at sunup, but we kind of do it because of people have jobs, so it's like a 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. thing. Like instead of doing the stuff at midnight, they do it at like 3 a.m., 2 a.m., something like that.
Oh, okay. I heard. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but peyote is basically mescaline, right? Like it's something a little bit stronger than mescaline, but it has mescaline in it.
Yes, it's mescaline, and there's other alkaloids. All these plants have other alkaloids. There's like the active alkaloid, and there's like helper. Ibogaine is great, but Iboga's got like 12 alkaloids that help with neuroplasticity and like the anti-inflammatory aspects. Like we could, the alchemical term or the chemical term is like full spectrum. It's all of the chemical profile of that plant, whereas like things like ibogaine, cocaine, it's just like one chemical from a plant, isolated into its own form. You know,
Oh yeah, it's a
the
different.
full spectrum experiences are way different than just like, and a lot of the mescaline I had, you know, when I was like younger, like doing burns and music festivals and stuff, was all like research chemical stuff. I think early 2000s, late 2000s, it was just like a lot of research chemical mescaline. Probably, I don't know if there still is because I just don't really do that.
Oh yeah, well I
But
think that
definitely
it has something to
better.
do with the MAOIs. I believe is what causes the MAOIs. I could be wrong on this. I need to do a little bit more research, but essentially it's just like the highway in which you're sending the drug.
Yeah,
And so that's what makes each plant so different. So rather than just taking just pure mescaline that like Aldous Huxley did whenever he was, you know, writing the Doors of Perception, you were taking
great.
peyote, which is, oh dude, one of the best. And so yeah, it's pretty interesting though. I'm interested to try some of it, to be honest with you, because I think that, you know, I hear you and I can see, you know, how much it's helped you out in so many different ways. It turned your life around essentially, right?
Yeah.
And
Bro, I used to be 340 pounds at one point. I mean, I had completely lost control of every aspect. But yes, sorry.
wow. Oh, that's amazing, dude.
Good
And I
shit,
and
man.
that's the thing, is that a lot of these things, they get so demonized and people label them as drugs. And it's like, dude, a drug to me is something bad that you should never try. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and to be honest, I mean, sugar
Man,
is a drug. Caffeine is a drug. Nicotine is a drug. I mean, these things
I
are
think sugar
addictive
is a
chemicals.
drug. I think sugar and cocaine, like if you kind of look into the history, like what nutritional value does sugar really have? You know, and people always say blood sugar, but you can get that from low glycemic fruit sources. You know,
Mhm.
like sugar itself's not a nutrient. It doesn't have nutritional value. It's a drug,
Oh, that's what
Mhm.
and it's
causes
a
so many
drug that
people.
we give our kids.
Right, and that's what causes people to you know, become overweight. You know,
Diabetes.
all of the sugar, it just stores up in your fat cells and everything. Then it just adds on and adds on and adds on. That's what, like, over the past few years, I go on and off like of keto and stuff like that. I'm actually back on it now, but
Oh
dude,
yeah.
you feel so much more level minded whenever you don't have all that sugar and all the carbohydrates and all the bread and all the fucking all that shit that, like, you know, you can live without, and wouldn't you know it, your mind works better whenever you get off of it, you know. So
Dude,
if
it's
that's
an
not a drug,
all-encompassing thing, dude. I would say it's even not even just the mind, dude, but your body feels better. You just feel like, I don't know what it is, man. You just feel so much more aligned with where you are. You know what I mean? You can smell things better. You can, I don't know, man. It's just it's a whole thing, man. And people that are trying to, have some sort of awakening or understand the spiritual side of things, or whatever it is, man. I feel like that's a big part of it that gets kind of overlooked, I think. You know,
Yeah.
oh
if
yeah,
you just get on it doesn't even, I don't even think it really matters what diet it is. I think it's just long as it's something that, it's decently healthy, obviously. You're not eating a bunch of sugar, you're not drinking soda, you're not feeling bogged down after you eat. And yeah, man, just 3, 4 days ago, I started myself, and like, it's just an overall feeling of just better. And you
I
were talking about the sugar. I imagine that skews your pleasure center as well. You know what I
oh
Yes,
mean?
it does.
100%,
It's a dopamine. It's a
Yeah.
drug. It's
yeah,
a
Yes.
drug.
And
It's
then
cocaine.
you wonder why so many people these days are depressed and
Yes.
anxiety ridden. It's like, well, we grew up eating Pop Tarts and we grew up
It's
eating all this shit that was colorful and on the TV, in between our TV shows and
oh
you know what I
dude,
mean? And so,
the tricks are
yeah,
for
dude, it's just
Yeah.
a
kids.
culture thing,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
dude.
know, one of the things I noticed when I started fasting is by like day 2 or 3 of the fast, my thoughts become very clear. Like
Mhm.
I become very like you're just, and I relate to that, and it's like it's even when I'm in the fast, it's like everything becomes clearer. Because when
Mhm.
I'm in keto and when I intermittent fast, it does help to keep a certain amount of clarity,
Mhm.
and I feel like when I gorge, I had an emotional stress the other day and just happened to have a lot of pizza and I freaking gorged on pizza and
Mhm.
I hated myself for 2 days. I was like, why?
Mhm. You feel it
But
almost instantly, dude. You know?
But yeah, you do. And then it's like afterwards, like everything levels out and it's like you're clear minded, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I had an experience today, as a matter of fact, where I don't know, all the sounds around me at work, it's kind of noisy and there's people talking and there's machines buzzing and I was pushing something that was also making a sound and I don't know, there was this weird experience too where I felt like this ultra awareness, right? Like all the sounds and all the visuals were just one, and I was just experiencing, I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but it was like the only way I can explain it is just like an ultra awareness of some sort. And I don't know, dude. I mean, I think that's part of it, man.
Yeah.
You tapped into collective consciousness.
That's what it felt like, dude. Like I was just the ultimate observer, just experiencing what this body was doing at that moment. I don't know. I know it sounds fucking weird.
No, hey, we've all
I'm
been
trying
there.
to explain it.
Yeah.
I think what it is revelation. I used to call them downloads where I would just have this new perspective just like instantly.
Yeah.
But and when I started reading scripture, it kept talking about revelation. And I was like, I think that's what, because I heard somebody say that the devil speaks to the mind and God reveals to the heart. And that just made sense because sometimes I just understand and it's like, I know. Like there are things that I know because I know, and there are things I know because I was told. And I'm at a point I don't believe anything I'm told. And I just focus on what I know I know. Right. And when I know things, everyone in the world tells me I don't know what I'm talking about. But I know. Right. So I just,
Oh, it's that gnosis. There's something in you, dude, that once you stumble across what you absolutely know to be true, and sometimes it's even hard to put into words. But certain people will tell you maybe you had some kind of really amazing spiritual experience, and then you tell other people and they just don't get it. It doesn't click in their mind, and maybe it's because you can't describe it as well as you can, or maybe there is no words that you can really put on that. But there is a certain gnosis to it. What's that?
The experience wasn't for them to understand. It was for you,
Yeah, it feels a lot more personal in that manner. As a matter of fact, just a few days ago, I went to Florida and I did a psychedelic while I was out there, and I was just like, I had to drive like all day today, so I drove I was on the road for like 10 hours today. So that's where I do like my best thinking, And while I was driving, I was like remembering facets of that trip that I forgot. And that's like, dude, I love that whenever it just comes back to you, And what I remembered was it was like this in the beginning, because it'd been a little while since I had taken a psychedelic, because the last time I did it was kind of horrifying. But this time, whenever I did it, I was having almost trouble letting go. Like, I know that I'm supposed to surrender. I know that I'm supposed to give into it, but there's still that little thing about you that still wants to maintain some level of control, And so whenever I was in there, I felt it, whatever it is, like trying to contain me and like pull me down. And it reminded me of, if you ever watched all the old Spider-Man movies when Tobey Maguire and shit like that, right? And what was his name? Eric Foreman, Topher Grace. Yeah. So Topher Grace, whenever he first gets Venom, it's like taking him down and he's trying to fight out of it. And that's what it felt like. It was like something gel-like was pulling me down. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give into it because I know I've done this before. There's nothing to be scared of. I'm going to come out on the other side. There's nothing to worry about. And so I was like, I would succumb to it. And I was like, take me then. If you're trying to pull me somewhere, then just take me there.
Nothing to fear but fear itself. Like surrender is the name of the game. And that's what, they would always tell me if, I'm having a hard time, pray. And that sure helped, and it's like, when I talk about praying, like I don't pray the way my parents pray. I don't pray the way I pray the way that I prayed when my skin was burning in the sweat lodge. I'd been up all night eating a bunch of medicine, and now I'm sitting in a sweat lodge and everything fucking burns. And I'm just like, I'm on my knees and all I can do is pray about it. Like, that's how I pray in my regular life now, because it was like, people always wait till like the shit hits the fan to like really get down. And I'm just like, that's what I like about the sweat, is it really just puts you in that state of surrender, because you can't do a damn thing about it. And if you do something about it, it's like you don't want to disrespect the ceremony. Like they don't open the doors. You
Right.
run out. I've seen people do it. It's disrespectful every time, but it's just you just sit and deal with it. Because everyone else is sitting and deal with it. It's like everyone's suffering, but you're all suffering together. This is something that I've actually learned. It's been one of the most powerful life lessons. And it's that like suffering never doesn't exist. It's like the only constant. The two constants are suffering and change. Things will always change. People always resist change. You will always suffer. Like you were saying, you get rich and you're fucking miserable.
Yeah.
You don't avoid suffering, but you sure as hell get to pick your suffering. And you could suffer to live or you could suffer to die. It was sure as hell suffering when I would do drugs one weekend, go through withdrawal for a week or two, and then relapse and then go through withdrawal. I mean, I was suffering that whole time. And I thought I was normal, and now I sit in the sweat and it's suffering. When I fast, it's suffering. When I drink 11 things of ayahuasca, I'm not going to use the word suffering, but it was scary.
Right.
At
uncomfortable.
Points,
right.
Because I went there to face a demon that was hanging on for dear life. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been battling this demon so long, and I was like, I gotta knock him out. And I knew that this was when it was going to happen. Like I went into that ayahuasca like this is an exorcism.
Wow, it's so
synchronistic, man.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. It's so interesting. Me and Sean were on the phone earlier, and he was like, what's funny is, what did you say? Like you looked up suffering or something like that?
I was messing with ChatGPT, and I was like, I asked it, I was like, is suffering necessary to accomplish like happiness or joy? Is that just like this pivotal thing that you have to experience this to then experience the contrast of that, which would be joy and happiness and feeling fulfilled, and just so interesting that that's what we're talking about.
I know,
it's
today
like,
of all
life
times.
Lesson, it's like,
that's
are y'all familiar
with
the Rat Park research? Have y'all ever heard of this research? The Rat Park research?
No.
It was a research study was done, and the popular part of it is they take the first half of the research, but no one ever looks at the whole study, because you see people talk about the first half of the research. But what they did is they took a sample of rats and they put them in a cage with a wheel, and it was a boring cage, and they put regular water and cocaine water. And the rats went to the cocaine water in that cage. And so then they got this huge 20 by 20 room, and they built what they called Rat Park. It was tunnels. They had like areas that would open up. It would be a park with lots of wheels and like places for them to hang, places to climb. And it was this fascinating city. It was like rat heaven. And they put the same sample amount of mice into rat heaven and did the same thing, cocaine water, regular water. And sometimes they taste the cocaine water, spit it out, and then go drink the regular water, and they realize it wasn't regular water, but they didn't drink the cocaine water when they had a better rat cage. That is what you hear online, but that was just the beginning of the experiment. As that experiment goes on, these rats start to populate, and this grows. I think this went on for like a year and a half, to where these rats are having generations. And what happened was, because the rats had all of the luxury in the world, food, water. If they wanted, they had cocaine, but they didn't need it because everything was awesome. A generation was born, and they called them the beautiful ones, because they would get in these rat park cities, and all they would do is groom each other and mate. They were just doing orgies. It's like literally Rome.
Fuck yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Bathhouse orgies. They would make children, then not take care of them, and the children would die because they were so vain. They only cared about themselves. And the entire experiment, it ended with the entire civilization dying, because the amount of luxury that was given to them was destructive to the soul, because they had nothing to work for. So that's the part no one ever talks about Rat Park. That, like, yeah, build a better rat cage. If you're in a shitty rat cage, you're going to make bad decisions. Build a better rat cage, but you got to have some type of suffering. You've got to have some type of purpose.
That balance. course.
you're just going to sit around, bathe, fuck, look at yourself in the mirror, and be on TikTok all day about how awesome you are, and forget that you left the kids in the back of the car. Because that's what happened to Rat Park, you know?
Oh my God.
Everyone's like, the better rat cage solution. And it was like, I think that the hustle and the better rat cage were the solution. You know, it's not one or the other. It's like hustling to get the better rat cage because it makes you better. You know?
Well, yeah, you got to remember where you came from in order to, you know, actually enjoy what you worked for. Because you hear, like, especially like those like trust fund kids, for example, like Aleister Crowley was a trust fund kid. You know, and he wasn't exactly the happiest person. As a matter of fact, he was, what was it? Like the most evil person to ever live or some shit that he labeled himself as. And it's like, you know, you gotta almost like I don't want to say come from nothing. I mean, it's all about the hand that you're dealt and what you do with it kind of deal. But that's amazing that's what transpired there though. I like that, actually. Like, there's something special about somebody coming from nothing and building themselves up to be something. Or even maybe their parents were well off and they never thought that they would be able to achieve what their parents did. And so they go through this whole struggling thing and then they make it, you know? And it's like, there's something really magical about that because, you know, it's like an epiphany kind of moment, like something that you never thought you were going to be able to get. And now you got it. And it's like, all you had to do was work for it. But look, I mean, the rats, whenever they were given everything, they didn't have to work for anything. They didn't appreciate it. And life went to shit.
They became bad parents, you know.
Their own life or young.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was one mouse, though, still chilling by the cocaine water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Became a pimp or something. I'm sure. Yeah, he was out there hustling. Yeah.
Yeah,
taking advantage of the beautiful ones.
Right.
So, just out of curiosity, you had mentioned that there's a difference between Iboga and Ibogaine. I thought they were the same thing.
No, Iboga is the plant. So the plant is a Iboga plant. It's a shrub from Africa, and Ibogaine is an extraction that you get from the Iboga plant. And there's also a pharmaceutical available. Excuse me. There's pharmaceutical Ibogaine available, which has less cardiac effects, and that's the one that I know the clinics I work with have been using, and because the doctors are more comfortable doing. So the doctors like who do this, like their fucking reputation's on the line. Like you think you're gonna be in this career if you make mistakes? No, they everything. So they look at they look over that paperwork. They make sure anything that could go wrong, and if there's any slight chance, they usually deny because it's literally their livelihood, how they feed their kids.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Don't want to make a mistake.
So ever since you've gone through the ceremonies and whatnot with the Iboga, you have not relapsed at all. You feel like that's in the rear view for good now?
I had a relapse around Thanksgiving. I didn't look at it as a relapse. I looked at it as a lesson.
Okay.
And it wasn't because it was like, you know, I was always drinking when I was doing other things, but drinking, like I can drink and not drink. And I just decided to drink because I was dealing with extreme anxiety over a situation. I was emotional and I was going through my pattern, and I was like, I can drink today and never drink again. And I can't believe I'm sharing this story, dude.
Let's get weird.
So the spirit has a way, right? It's got to teach us our lessons, and alcohol's a spirit. So walked my happy ass to the bar, and I was in a country neighborhood, lots of back roads, and I was really like vibing, walking around that neighborhood, getting in touch. I don't know if you grew up with like the 80s shows like Goonies and Stand By Me, like the 80s bike kid shows. And I was just having like my 80s bike kid moment. Like, I'm going to go in the backwoods, see what's going on. So I was like exploring the woods because I was stressed out and I wanted to hike. And I went to the woods, and on the other side of the woods, there was a bar. So I went to the bar and I drank. and I drank way too much, way too fast, and then realized I drank too much. I don't need to be in public. I can't even speak words right now. I'm like opening my mouth, gibberish is coming out. So I'm gonna walk home through the backwoods in the dark.
Of course.
I broke both arms. I had a black eye. I had a rough night with the ground. The ground was my absolute worst enemy. I fell down a freaking hill and broke both my arms, like a little cliff that I just walked off of. It was literally like the dumbest thing ever. And I come back with 2 broken arms.
Oh my God.
Black eye, blood coming out my nose.
There's the lesson right there, huh?
Yeah, and it was I was like, okay, so that was the last time, and I didn't like it. It didn't feel good because my serotonin works. That's the one thing when your serotonin feels good, like things that make it feel bad, like make it feel bad again, like the way it's supposed to. I think when you first do drugs, it's exciting. So you're like, ooh, that was exciting, and you don't really feel the bad. But when you're familiar with it and you do it, you can feel the bad effects immediately. And you're like, oh, I don't like that. You know
what's funny too is that I remember whenever I was like younger, I was still in high school, and I shit you not, dude. I think because I was always hanging out with people that smoke weed all the time, right? And those were just that was my crew, that was my friends. And dude, I shit you not, I think the first 50 times that I smoked weed, I hated it. Like I hated it, like legit. Really? I couldn't stand it.
What made you hate it?
I lost control. I was like, sometimes whenever I get like way too high, I have this thing that happens in my mind to where it's like, I call it comic booking, to where literally instead of life just being very continuous and flowy and 1 second to the next, it's like every single second that passes by is a page that's passing, and then another page, and then another page. And I fucking hated that. And it would happen so often. And but I was, succumbing to peer pressure. I was trying to be cool like the rest of my friends. And so every time we'd get in the car and do a little G ride, as they called it, you get in the back seat, and especially in 2007, 2008, that's whenever Lil Wayne was, real popular. And so you'd listen to the new Carter 3 or whatever the fuck it was. And you just wanted to try and fit in. But yeah, dude, I hated it the first few times. So it's interesting that you bring that up, that like, and I'm not saying that that's exactly what, weed does to everybody, but that was my experience the first, several dozen times.
Dude,
I've seen a lot of people that trigger anxiety. There are people it's not good for, right, yeah. But I really think I wouldn't have an endocannabinoid system in my body if I wasn't supposed to consume it. Like, we literally evolved an endocannabinoid system, like that is crazy in our body to handle cannabinoids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a stomach to process weed. So there's a reason it exists. It's here for a purpose. But yeah, I don't think it's a medicine for everyone. And there are some things, and one of the most important things that to learn on the medicine road, because you can't just do medicine forever, right? It's the real purpose is to at one point when you start your healing is to learn that you are the medicine, that life is the ceremony. Like at first it's like you're in the ceremony and you're eating the medicine, but then you realize that the ceremony is your life and you are the medicine to your own life. Mm-hmm. And, it's like this accountability that you've got to take towards, creating the life that you want to live and putting the energies and, blocking the energies you don't want, in your life, or, at least separating yourself from the energies you don't want in your life, Oh
yeah, dude, your body's a well-oiled machine, man. I've been having a lot of back issues, and it's like, I could have went to the chiropractor, meanwhile, I'm still eating all this bullshit food and just doing nothing to lose weight, and it's like, okay, well, once I lose the weight, I know in my mind it's just going to heal itself. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, we're capable of that, and I'm glad to hear, dude, that you've made the right moves and you are where you are now and feeling better. How long have you been clean now? If you don't mind me asking.
So I white knuckled at the end of 2021. I did Iboga, I want to say February or March of 2022. And yeah, and then there's that one thing. But I smoke marijuana. I'm California sober without the alcohol. Some people drink alcohol California sober. I don't. I used to play music. That's the other thing that was weird is I used to play music and drink, like alcohol and music. Like when I got drunk, I just wanted to play guitar. And I don't drink, and I still play the guitar, but I play for like 30 minutes and I put it down. Like I've had to I'm not saying that was a career, but that was like a long time hobby that I, doing recording and stuff like that, writing songs, and it's something I pull out twice a year. Not the guitar. I play the guitar quite a bit, but like I write a song like once or twice a year, but it's not my full-time thing anymore,
Oh, I mean, hey, dude, sometimes it's, it's just a different chapter in your life kind of deal. It's interesting, though, kind of like how both of you guys were saying about how, like, it's just something that to where you're almost healing yourself with it. It's a ceremony, but it's, that ceremony is almost symbolic of your life. And, it's not even necessarily a medicine. It's almost just like you coming into this new perspective, and the ceremony is your life kind of deal. And it just reminds me of Dolores Cannon a little bit, because she would always tell people, she goes, look, if you can make yourself sick, you can heal yourself. Like we have that power within us. And so I believe that wholeheartedly. And I think that a lot of times it doesn't necessarily need to be dealt with numbing drugs to help you forget about the pain. A lot of these people a lot of people in general are on like SSRIs and shit to just not have to deal with it and stuff like that. And I don't think that's, do whatever you want. I'm not here to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't be doing, but just from my own perspective, I think that is one of the worst things that you can do, because you're numbing out the things that your body is trying to tell you. Not only just your body, what your mind is trying to tell you, that you need to deal with this. And we've done a lot of work, a lot of shows here lately on shadow work, right? And dude, that is extremely necessary. And especially, you talking about the Iboga, or us talking about our mushroom experiences or our DMT experiences, or these things. All they do is just bring up the parts of you that you either forgot or that you never wanted to deal with. And that's the healing. Like that's the healing in and of itself, is whenever you get, I'm not going to say whenever you get over it, but whenever you actually face it, instead of just keeping it in the dark. And that's actually like what a lot of magicians will say, even like ancient magicians and hermeticists and Kabbalists and stuff like that. They'll say that like, literally, you become, it's so much easier to manifest the life that you want whenever you bring the darkness into the light. And that's exactly what they're talking about, right?
We wear our shadow on our sleeve. Everyone sees it. I had a girl come and she wasn't ready for treatment, but she wanted to talk. And we sat down and we had a one-on-one, and she's like, I have a secret. Now, I need to tell you the story the way it happened, because when I saw her, she was very skinny, skin and bones, hadn't eaten and like, like maybe vegan without the minerals, or a meth head, but the meth mouth gave it away, because you could see the teeth were twisted. And like, I could just tell that this person had a huge methamphetamine addiction right away. First thing that came to my mind. So we sit down and she's like, got a huge secret. Nobody knows. No one at my work knows. No one in my family knows. I'm an addiction counselor, and I secretly do methamphetamines on the side, but like I'm a big part of the sober community, so I can't let anyone know, and no one knows. And I just looked at her and I said, everybody knows. Yeah. Everybody knows. Like, we think there's little secrets they don't know, or are imperfections. It's good to know your weaknesses and your imperfections, because then you know how to balance them and leverage them, or get people to help you with things that you're not good at yourself. That's what CEOs do, right? They're not good at something, they get someone else to do it. you know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's it's something everybody has to deal with. We all got to face that dark shit, and I mean, nobody wants to do it, you know? Like that's what causes the anxiety and the depression in the first place is because nobody wants to face, you know, the shadow that's lurking in their fucking closet that's haunting them and causing them immense levels of fear every single day. And it's like because you know it's there, you know you have to deal with it, and that's honestly I believe what causes the anxiety is that you know you got to deal with it and you're choosing not to. Like that's the anxiety in a nutshell, I believe. At least that's my experience.
Absolutely, dude.
Absolutely.
We got to become the alchemist, you know what I mean? Turn that lead into gold. And I think that's interesting how people that struggle with something like yourself, Jonathan, you come onto the show and you talk about what you've been through and people that are also struggling and have similar experiences, they're going to hear your words and it's going to be very powerful because, you know, someone like you that has been there, man, and they're going to be able to relate to that, you know? And so I feel like you are being the alchemist right now and turning your struggles into something that somebody can really, you know what I'm saying, get something
kind of where I am because I feel like I wasted time and I didn't get a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I've always done me things. Like I've always been an artist, but I've always been a recluse. And so I just feel I wrote in one of my songs, you know, I was hiding in basements when I could have been topping charts. You know, it's like the best, like I've always just like worked in a laboratory and either created, whether it be music, video, stuff like that. And of course, I just had the stoner moment. What was it that you were just talking about? Because I had something important to add to that.
Just turning your struggles into a strength rather than just staying within, you know, the suffering of that.
Yeah.
Or even looking at it as wasted time. I wouldn't even say it was wasted time. You know, it brought you to where you are now. You know.
But I feel, you know, I'm healthier now than I've ever been. But like, I mean, I got really unhealthy and I, you know, my daughter's getting older and it's like all this stuff is like changing, which change is the only constant. But,
it's just like it's you know, as Sean was bringing up earlier, you know, there's a alchemical process that's going on, and a lot of people believe that, you know, the ancients were using alchemy to really turn lead into gold, but really what they were after was the philosopher's stone essentially, and it's just about that transmutation. You know that you know if you listen to people like, I mean, we love like certain channelers like Bashar and stuff like that, and he says, and this. Well, he's like, his name is Daryl Anka, but he channels this fucking alien entity allegedly named Bashar. And anyway, he's basically just like a fucking shaman. But what he says, and it, dude, I had a hard time getting around this, and now I finally see it. It's like he says there is no inherent meaning to anything. That life is essentially meaningless outside of what meaning you give it. And that's the whole idea around transmutation and, you know, the alchemy of the soul and stuff like that is that you can take certain facets of your life. And if you're somebody that's just constantly like, you know, you're so regretful and you're so sad and you're beating yourself up all the time because you made this wrong decision, you made that wrong decision, you said that when you shouldn't have said it. It's like you can look at that in another way, and you can say, wow, look how far I've come. I'm no longer that person. Like that is turning the lead into gold. The lead was the shitty times. You have the gold now. So I wouldn't even say that you wasted any time. I agree, you know, because we all have to come there. We all come from that place, and then we are almost evolved or morphed into, you know, this butterfly that we are now.
Absolutely.
Not to sound gay, man. But but yeah, man. All right. So just out of curiosity, and we'll let you get out of here. But so I have a bunch of people in my life that have dealt with addiction or are still currently dealing with addiction. And it almost seems damn near impossible to get to people whenever they're going through their own things. It's like, you know, the old adage, you know, you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink it kind of situation. And I wouldn't, you know, now, especially knowing that, you know, everything that we've learned and knowing what we know now as far as, you know, just the spiritual kind of identity and whatnot, you don't want to like pressure anybody into doing anything that they don't want to do. Like it's impossible to help somebody get clean if they don't want to get clean. And maybe because, you know, getting clean it's hell, literally. You know, you're having to really go through it. And people fear that, you know, rightfully so. I mean, it sucks, you know, addiction in general. But coming from your perspective, somebody who is heavily addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever the case may be, would you absolutely suggest Iboga?
I would. I'm not going to lie and say that we don't have a lot of repeat people. You know what I'm saying? That people detox and they come back. What you said is absolutely right. You have to be ready. Like, I was at a place that I was so bad that I was like at self-deletion. Like there's only one or two ways this was going. I was either going to find healing or I was, you know, going the other way. And sometimes, and I hate to say it, that's why the whole rock bottom, sometimes you have to hit rock bottom. And it was what I was going to say earlier. It's all about the mindset, you know, like the transmutation is the mindset. Like you transmute the mind and, you know, like I used to be like lazy and sex, drugs and rock and roll. And now I'm like, I get up at 5 a.m. You know, I start working at 5 a.m. I take a break about 9 and work out. You know, I usually do a podcast by like 7 or 8 a.m. I have a podcast with another network and they always do early mornings. So I was like, like 3-4 days a week, I'll hop on their shows and talk with them. But it's like I didn't used to be like that, you know, and it wasn't just the medicine. It really was the mindset, you know, and it was understanding suffering. And it's like, you know, I have to do my push-ups today. And I went through a bout of insomnia, golly, a couple months ago, like 7 or 8 months ago. I didn't sleep for like 6 weeks, just stopped sleeping. It's terrifying. And I recommitted as hard as I could. I upped my workouts. It's all I could do, you know, because I was so worried. I had a lot of things going on. I had a lot of concerns and I was genuinely worried about things that were going on. And I just stopped sleeping. And I was just like, I couldn't make myself go to sleep if I tried. So I'd like hang out, you know, work some during the night, but I had to increase the amount of workout I did to exhaust myself, because if I don't put out the energy, then I still have energy to burn when it's time to go to sleep, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So now my whole life, I call it monk mode. I live in monk mode. I do the same things every day. I rarely change the pattern. I live at the beach. I don't even go to the beach. I need to go to the beach. I've been saying that for 2 weeks. I'm going to go to the beach. I can walk. It's literally right over there. I never go. Because I do the same thing every day. I just got to start doing like my workout on the beach. Like I have to just mentally fit.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh, dude, those like in the sand workouts, especially in the middle of the summer, dude. It's exhausting. You going to sleep that night.
Yeah. Texas, I'm a Texas boy. I've never lived on the beach. I need to take advantage of it, you know?
Oh, nice. I live in Texas. I love it out here, actually.
Where are you at?
You know where like Katy is in the Houston area?
Okay, yeah.
Yep. I've been living here for about 1.5 years now. It's pretty nice. I'm considering moving back home to Louisiana, though. To be honest,
I love Louisiana. My first place when I ran away was I went to Hammond, and then I went to New Orleans, and then I went to a rainbow gathering, and then I ended up going back to New Orleans. Do you know the Mushroom in New Orleans and the Boot over off of Tulane?
Oh, it sounds familiar. I'm not, I really didn't go to New Orleans all that much, except for if it was like Mardi Gras or if I wanted to go down to the French market or something like that. Maybe I wanted to go get like a new tarot deck off of bourbon or something like that. But I actually lived, whenever I was living in Louisiana, I lived maybe like 45 minutes away from New Orleans. So, every so often I'd take a little stroll down there.
Oh, I was breaking into those above ground things to do like crazy ceremonies and rituals I probably shouldn't have been messing with back in the day, but I've had some interesting experiences in above ground cemeteries in New Orleans. But yeah, I lived out there at a place. I got a job out there that allowed me to travel, so And I had a special place. Katrina just broke my heart, but I absolutely love Louisiana. You know,
yeah,
I'm from the Frisco area, so it's a little different vibe, I'm sure.
Yeah, I actually didn't even move there until the year after Katrina. Whenever, because I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and my dad ended up getting a job in Louisiana, and I was like, wait, didn't they just get blasted by like a fucking Cat 4 hurricane or whatever the fuck it's called? And it was Katrina. Like, you saw all the video footage and everything, and I was like, we're gonna move there? That's crazy. And turns out,
this is crazy because I left Texas to go to Louisiana to go to Pennsylvania. You left Pennsylvania to go to Louisiana to Texas. Whoa!
Holy
I bet
shit.
you he's the one that left that that hat in the woods. That you found.
Yeah, maybe.
Almost certain of it.
That's the whole thing, dude.
Hey, dude. I got some tarot cards if you guys are interested.
Let's go. What is it? Absolutely. What do we got?
All right, I got the Six of Cups, which, I mean, I don't know what it's going to be about, but the imagery, I mean, I don't know, looks a little interesting.
Wow, that's funny. You were because you
I actually got two cards, but this was the first one, and so
we'll roll with that one then. You know what's funny too is that I just started the new season of The Bear just came out. You guys watch The Bear?
I started it. I think I watched like one episode, and then I don't know what happened. I got distracted, and you know what I mean.
So fucking good.
I haven't worked TV back into my life. I try. I literally watch Marvel cartoons when I'm falling asleep, and that's like the most TV.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
I do, but I listen to a lot of things. I listen to podcasts, so I'm usually like listening while I'm doing stuff. Mm-hmm. But I'm so ADHD, I can't even sit. When I was working 2 jobs and podcasting and doing all this stuff, I would turn on TV and fall asleep, and so that's what happens still today. I put on Avengers Assemble and fall asleep.
Nice.
It's so interesting how many parallels there are between you guys. It's nuts.
Yeah, I'm a super Marvel dork too.
Marvel
so
dork, man.
But no,
are you gonna go see Fantastic Four? Are you stoked or not stoked?
I will be there the night it comes out, sir. That's I will camp out there if I need to.
He's like, sir, why are you? There's no line. Why are you camped out? Like, we got plenty of seats.
Because I want to. Damn it!
Just leave me alone.
But no, I brought up The Bear because it's basically like this cooking show. If you ever watched oh shit, what's his name? His Lip. You know what show I'm talking about. Shameless, from Shameless. Mm-hmm. And he's in it. And I always thought that he was awesome. But anyway, he's like running this restaurant, and it's causing him like a lot of stress and anxiety. And his uncle is like the one who funds the restaurant. And his uncle was just like, look, this restaurant's bleeding like crazy. Like, you only have a certain amount of time. And all these people that come in and they're writing articles about the restaurant and everything. And they say it's crazy. It's hectic. It's chaotic. And he goes, one of the main words that they said about this fucking restaurant was that it was dissonance. And one of the guys was like, dissonance? What does that mean? And he was like, so harmony is whenever everything's going as it should. Dissonance is the opposite of that. And and so it's funny, you pulled the Six of Cups card, and literally the key upright meanings are harmony and memories. So you were talking about memories, the long-term memory about how they were coming back. And so I'm just going to read this little excerpt, but it says, a loving exchange of support and care feels like home. After a period of grief or hardship, you've crossed the bridge into the harmonious energy of the Six of Cups card. A young boy and a girl dressed up like storybook characters appear to be playing in the main square of a sunny yellow town. The boy hands a cup with a flower to the little girl. The two are surrounded by white flower-filled cups, symbolic of innocence. The children, their silly costumes, and the mood of playful innocence all evoke childhood memories and a desire to spend time where you grew up. There is a figure in the background carrying a spear who seems to protect the children while they play. They are safe and free of worry. And the spiritual meaning behind it, it says spending time with your children and connecting to your connecting to your own inner child will refresh you. Oh, that's funny. Playful creativity and the acts of giving and receiving loving support will bring great harmony to your life. Consider spending time with old friends or friends who feel like family.
Love it.
Wow.
I mean, it's interesting how they're she's giving a cup with a plant in it. You know what I mean? We're talking about plant medicine and the memories and that you literally had a life review when you had your experience, and you're looking at all these traumatic experiences, and it's almost forcing you to just look at it. Look at it. This is what's inside of you still. You need to really work that out, and that's interesting, man.
Oh, dude, you want to talk about
That's
synchronicity?
actually funny because I was on Bufo Bryn, was on Iboga Talk on my podcast this week, and her going advice to me was to get in touch with my inner child and take my inner child on a date. She's like, take your inner child out. And I'm like, well, Fantastic Four is about to come out.
Wow.
Dude, I'm not in the States. I've got to get the freaking popcorn thing. Like, I'm trying to like, who do I have to send money to get me a popcorn Galactus from AMC?
I know it. Dude.
I'm about to get deported just so I can go get my Galactus thing.
Fuck it. Do what you got to do at all costs, everything necessary. But, I was just thinking too, just talking about like synchronicity and stuff. Dude, you know what page this card was on? Like on the page of the book is
what?
111.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, and that's
there are no accidents, dude.
Yeah, that's like kind of like the number of the show. Like even I don't think you can see it right there, but on the license plate of the Meta Mysteries machine, it says 111 on it. Yep. And so it was just like what was it like? We were trying to create Meta Mysteries, and the reason why we landed on those two words for the name of the show was because it came out to 111 or something like that.
The
right?
gematria, right?
Or
the gematria
on it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's so dope, man. We have to do another podcast and talk about Enoch and gematria, and we need to get into some deep occult stuff. We can even go to Crawley. I've read everything Crawley. I'm more of a fascination, like, I'm not like a true Thelmanite or anything like that. Like, I don't like worship the man, but I find him fascinating. And I love the way he writes, though. And I'm a writer, and have y'all read Diary of a Drug Fiend?
No. Actually, I haven't really learned.
Poetry.
We haven't dug into Crowley very often, or actually at all on this show. Because you hear all the negative things that are attached to him. But to be honest, we love diving into like all the witchcraft and all the magic, not even necessarily to do it ourselves, but just to understand how it works, And so I'd be interested in talking about Crowley just to get weird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Next time we come on, we should do that. We should do some more esoteric conversations because I'm a reader. I read, and now my eyes aren't as good, so I listen to books.
Oh yeah.
I listen to a lot of things. I still do. I'm at the point where I have to buy the bigger book now. Like I remember my grandfather, like he's got this huge ass book with these big words, and that's me now.
The letters are bigger.
Yeah. Well, look, we would definitely love to have you back on, man. This was, and that's kind of the thing that we like to do whenever we have new people on the show. It's kind of like an introductory to the person and some of their experiences and stuff like that. And then later episodes, we can get a little bit more, specific on topics and whatnot. But yeah, I would love to have a conversation like that. We're all about the esoteric shit up in here, baby.
Yeah, I had a friend who we were trying to get a similar type podcast going, and we just keep I keep connecting, but people don't answer the streams when I send it. So I was like, I put it on hold. I was like, okay, I've got too much. My hands too full. I actually am. I build the website. Ibogatalk.com is my website. And I still work on it a lot. It's something that's never done. So it's something that's like always on the back of my mind. Like that's why I don't go to the beach, because I'm like, I've got so much to do on this website,
I get it, man. Well, look, let's wrap this up. We're going to get over to the meditation, but if you would, could you let the one, that's what we call our listeners, the one, could you let the one know where they can find you and your podcast and all your stuff?
So right now I'm most active on TikTok. It's Iboga.talk on TikTok. I've got Iboga Talk on X, trying to get more active on there. and I usually put my podcast there. I do everything on Rumble. I've had bad experiences with YouTube. Like I said, I've streamed for a long time. I've been shadow banned enough. I just don't even, you know what I'm saying? If a company does me wrong, I kind of just don't mess with them. So I'm on Rumble, rumble.com, Iboga Talk, over there. So, and yeah, I will have, I've got a comic book coming out in about a month. It's called The War for Christmas. And it chronicles the war between the North Pole and Amazon. It's a war horror satire. So
I love it.
That's awesome.
yeah, so I'll let y'all know. Hopefully, I'll send y'all a link for that later and stuff. But that is coming out. I really enjoy writing. I wrote video games. I went in to do make video games, make movies and stuff. And then I sort of switched over to comics at one point just because it was simpler art to do by myself, you know?
Yeah, dude. I mean, hey, you got to get that creative flow going, get them juices flowing, sir.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And also, if y'all are into role-playing games, tabletop and stuff, I'm on like 3 RPG streams on the Meg.tv, the Madness Entertainment Group. Those guys are really cool over there, and they always need some love. So hit like.
Very well. Will do. I have to check it out then.
Subscribe at Rumble. I have a very low following, even though my highest quality stuff is on Rumble. So I put time into everything I put on Rumble, and TikTok is just off the cuff.
All right. Well, look, at the end of the episode, whenever we're done shooting, just send me over all the links, and all of your links will be down in our show notes for all of the one to be able to go and check out, man.
Awesome. I love it.
All right. So, Sean, any final words for you, sir?
Dude, I'm just, I don't know. Every time we have a guest, I feel like it's just an episode that we were meant to have, you know, and all the synchronicities and all of the parallels and everything that just was discussed, I just felt like was necessary, man. And I really appreciate you coming on and being vulnerable and just sharing your experiences. And I think that's really going to help out a lot of people, you know. And so, yeah, man, just keep doing what you're doing, dude. And thanks for coming on, man.
Hell yeah, dude.
Awesome.
All right.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up right there. If you want to be able to join us in the meditation, come on over to patreon.com/metamysteries. That link is down in the show notes of every episode. It's the best way to be able to support the show as well. You want to be able to get the shows a couple of days in advance. You want to be able to listen to it completely commercial free, and you'll be able to slide into our DMs on a daily basis. Sean is really good at keeping up with those bad boys. And yeah, that would be the best way to be able to support us. But look, I guess until next time, this was just a fucking awesome episode, and I cannot wait to do it again. But yeah, if Jonathan from Iboga Talk came here and he taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay
Can I say
weird.
one thing? I came to the conclusion when I was hearing people argue over flat Earth and round Earth that I decided during the conversation that I'm Earth-shape agnostic.
There you go.
There you go.
At the end of the day, does it matter that much?
Yeah,
you know?
I know. And that's, it's like the only time it matters is if I just happen to be the captain on the ship going over the edge. Like, it would matter a lot at that moment.
That's when
But
you want to
until then,
know,
it doesn't.
you know.
All right.
Good shit, man.
Well, look, we're going to wrap it up. So
Again,
we'll wrap it up again. So don't just get weird.
stay weird.
Open doors inside your mind. Leave the ordinary far behind. Colors swirl and stars align. In the meta mysteries you'll find.
Man, he was awesome, right?
Yeah, interesting
Holy
guy,
shit.
man.
Man,
You know,
I like
and
that guy.
when he said that, I really wanted to make mention of that when he was talking about the wasted time. I was like, because you can dwell on that, you know. And I really did. I wanted him to. Maybe he heard me. Maybe he understood. Maybe not. But I don't think we should look at anything like wasted time, you know, because then you just dwell on it, and you're wasting time thinking about time you wasted. You know,
well,
it's not going to help you.
It's all about your relationship with your memories. Essentially, is kind of what we've been learning about, like transmutating certain facets and certain parts of your past and stuff like that. Because, you know, you can look at it in so many different ways. But one thing you're never going to be able to do is actually go back and literally change the past. Right. But what you can do is you can change your relationship with it. And that's something that, man, it sounds crazy because we're so attached to our feelings and our emotions, and those feelings and emotions that are attached to those things that, you know, occurred in the past that you may feel one way or another about. But dude, just by like, and that's what they say, like a lot of healing occurs whenever you go back. Like that shadow work is just essentially creating an entirely different perspective on that past thing that happened. It's not that it's like whenever they talk about like healing your inner child kind of stuff, right? So like, you know, your feeling towards what happened whenever you were a little kid, yeah, that's you know, the thing is never going to go away. It's your view of that thing that you can transmute.
Oh yeah, dude, and I think we can, you know, the something happened today. You can, because you can transmute the now. You know, yeah, sure, you can look at the past and you know, deep dig into your shadow, you know, and figure out what it is that needs to be worked out. But today I was at work and there's no air conditioning, right? And so it's just really really warm inside the building, and in my mind I was like, or it could be freezing outside. Right?
Yeah,
Freezing, and I'm in here in the warmth.
Oh,
You
I
know,
know.
like, I don't know, it was just something I did in that moment just to, like, mess around with that, you know, because you can transmute whatever situation you're in, man.
Dude,
You know,
and
it's just a
that's
state of mind.
and that's what's one of the crazy things about temperature in general is that it does seem to be somewhat of a mindset if you want to get real like mystical with it, because I tell you, like whenever winter comes around, it doesn't get super cold out here in Texas or in Louisiana, but it'll get pretty frigid, you know, it'll get down in the 30s sometimes. And
Or it
I
hurts
mean it's
just a little bit, you know, like, ugh.
it's not that Pennsylvania cold. That is achy.
Oh,
You know
that's
what I mean?
different. Oh yeah, that's different.
That, like, you understand why people up north are fucking miserable. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like, and dude, I lived it. First half of my life was all in that cold shit. But it's weird though, because you know, you'll be in, like right now it's the middle of summer, right? So it's in the 90s, maybe low hundreds, or, you know, stuff like that, around that temperature right now. And I'll keep my house at, you know, 70, 71, something like that. And it's strange because I think about whenever winter comes and 66 feels warm, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because it's such an upgrade over what's going on outside, that 65, 66, it starts to feel a little muggy inside. Meanwhile, during the summer, if I would turn it down to 66 or 67, I'd be shivering. So what's that about?
Yeah, that's your mind, dude.
It's
your understanding of where you are and what, you know, what the temperature is outside in contrast to what you're feeling inside, and it's just like, you know, that I know it sounds silly, but it's like, you know, just the thought that, oh, it could be 30 degrees outside, and you know, if I was out there, I can't handle the cold, dude. Like, I just can't. That's why I'm here in Arizona, you know. And so in my mind, I'm like, it's freezing out there, and I'm in here and it's just warm and it's cozy, you know, and like, wow, you know, you could just do that with anything, I think.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, to a certain degree, I'm sure.
Oh, dude, this life is very malleable. It's all about your reaction to it. That's literally everything. And even beyond that, like, and this is where the real magic happens in my own like experience, is when you just stop reacting. And you're like, you don't react one way or another. You don't succumb to the left or to the right or to the white or to the black or to the this or that. Like these all like dividing topics and stuff like that. Dude, not even middle path. Like, just transcending the idea that there is a dichotomy of multiple things that you can, you know, react to. And it's just being aware. Because, and I used to be somebody, dude, especially whenever I first started the Cult of Conspiracy, I would get into these places where I'd be like, oh my God, Democrats are so fucking stupid, you know? And I was extremely, like, I fell into the trap of politics, you know? And
that's what it is, dude.
And it's all it is. And then you start to see that it starts to leak over to the other side, and those people don't even notice that it leaks over to the other side. You know, it's like, even, and not even to get into politics or anything, but just to show you like the weird transition. It's like, dude, like liberal people of the 90s would be the conservatives of today's age and vice
Right.
versa. It used
Right.
to be that the liberals were anti-war. Now they're pro-war. It's
Right.
like, what the hell is going on? And so you just see the amount of control in it. But whenever you take a step back and you stop reacting to it, it's like, oh my God, they're fucked on every side. Like
Yeah,
you
oh,
don't
yeah.
like they're so lost that they don't have a moral barometer to measure up against. And it's like, you know, the people that are like blue no matter who or red till I'm dead. I'm like, oh my God, you're trapped. Like you're
Tribalism,
controlled. It is tribalism.
it
and
is.
so the idea is just to get out of that mode of reacting and just get into the level of awareness where you just stop reacting and just watch. And like don't have an opinion about this or opinion about that. Like this is where people get trapped, is that they think that their opinion is so powerful that they have to stand on that ground,
Yep.
you know? And it's like,
That's
dude,
the ego, man.
that is
You know,
the
you're
ego.
being so ego driven, you know, and even in this show, dude, I feel like I want to have some sort of, you know, at least more narrowed in understanding of what I believe. That way, at least I have some sort of, but you know what, do I need to have a complete answer to what I think is happening? I don't think any of us really know. You know, I mean, some people will say they know, but I don't think any of us really know
Well, it's-
what's going on.
And it's that need for an
But
answer.
I need to have an opinion, you know, and it's like, maybe I don't. You don't always have to have an opinion. It could just be that, you know, that thing is happening and I'm over here and I don't know.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can have an opinion without judgment, and that's really, you know, that's I mean, look, unfortunately, we just live in a very dualistic world, and sometimes it's hard to transcend that at every single possible angle.
Yeah.
But one of the ways that you can transcend it, even if you're having a hard time, like being able to just stay in the level of awareness and not succumb to the idea of choosing a side or choosing a opinion, I got to the point to where I'm like, all right, well, I know what I would do, you know, but I'm not going to say you need to do this or else you're a bad person.
Right.
You know, that's
right.
a
And
terrible
that's
place to
where
be.
we go. That's where it gets crazy, you know, because, oh, you don't have an opinion about this, or you don't approve of this, or, and it's like, man, you know what I mean? I think it just defeats the purpose. I think a lot of us are so much more alike. I mean, when you break it down, dude, all these surface level shit, red, blue, whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
it's so at the very edge of the true nature of what we're supposed to be and understand and just live and love and, you know, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's, well, it's,
You know,
you know,
that's why I
it's,
don't even do politics, because it's just so surface level.
well,
I don't know.
even beyond politics, though, I mean, that can go to religion. Think about it like that. You know, religion is one of the most polarizing things of all time. And, you know, it's very divisive in a sense, because you got certain people saying, well, if you don't do this, then you're going to this place. But if you do this and you're still a shithead, somehow you're still going to the good place. It's like, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And that's that's what causes the divide, to be honest. And because you're like, man, if you really believe this, why are you still acting like that? You know, like that's really where it blew it open for me, because you would see these quote unquote religious people, right? And you're like, okay, so this is your book. This is what you believe. This is how you're going to live your life. But then they don't. And you're like, wait a second. You can't say that you absolutely believe this to be the absolute truth and then live your life in a completely opposite way. You know, and it's the whole idea of like, oh, well, they're you know, we're sinners and we're never going to be
can't be
perfect. And
perfect,
it's
right.
like, that's the trap. Like,
Yeah.
you're literally saying that you're never going to be perfect. You got to try, but it's okay if you're not perfect. And I'm not saying that everybody should be perfect by any means, but if, I don't know, it's...
Well, what
It's a
the
weird
thing
thing.
that gets me, and obviously people that are living, you know, in a certain way of life, whatever religion it is, you know, I just feel like we should just be living that way, rather than, oh, I could be a shithead all my life, like you said, and then at the very end, right when you're about to die, you can ask for forgiveness and really mean it, and then you'll get to heaven. But someone like me that's really just genuinely trying to be a good person to everyone I meet is going to hell because I pulled tarot cards. It's like, okay,
Shame on you.
all right, yeah, I
Shame
know.
on you.
That's my bad.
You
I knew better. That's the problem, you know.
You go to your naughty place, bad
I
boy.
knew, right? Yeah, man, I knew
man.
better.
But it even says, like, I'm not going to get religious here because I can go on all day about that shit. But anyway, yeah, that was a great conversation with Jonathan. I mean, the weird parallels and the weird synchronicities, really all the way around.
I really digged his energy, man. You know, as soon as he popped on the screen before we even started recording, I was like, I don't know, I just felt his energy and I liked it.
Yeah. Well, and that's what who was it that brought it up on one of the live shows? It might have been Brit, or was it Asia or somebody like that. And they said, it kind of feels like this is like our tribe. You know what I mean? Like we were all meant to find each other in one way or another. And it does feel like that. Like it feels like it's the right path and we're doing the right thing and we're thinking rather than not following, we're actually putting real legitimate thought into it. And it's not even only just in the show. It's that we think about it all day long. And we try to apply it to our lives and change our own mindset and change our own philosophies and look at it through this perspective and that perspective and, see how it aligns up with your everyday life and stuff like that. Dude, I tell you what, I think about this shit all the time.
Well, and same here, dude. And I think what it comes down to is we're just trying to come to the best understanding, at least for myself and for yourself. And we're not going to agree. I'm almost guaranteed we're not going to come to the absolute same understanding. Maybe there's some parallels, but I think what's most important is I find the thing that I understand that works best for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. That's the secret, I think.
That's the sauce.
That is.
That's the sauce right
At least
there.
that's what I'm coming to understand at this moment in time.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Exactly, dude. So you know what? We're gonna keep on trying to figure it out, and we don't know what we don't know. So we're gonna stay weird up in this biatch.
You know we will. You know we will.
So anyway, all right, y'all. We will see y'all on the flip side.
Bye, guys.
Voices drift on winds untamed. Words like spells that can't be named. Close your eyes and feel the sound. Journey where no